I'm Tom. Welcome back to the garage. I'm back in here working on the Teardrop camper that I'm building. I've made a little bit of progress since video 2. This is video number 3, so stick with me and I'll give you an update on where I'm at so far. So if you watched video number 2, you can see that I've made a little bit of progress on the camper build so far. In video number 2, I had gotten to the point where basically the shell was erected onto the floor. Now I'm starting to work a little bit more on the finishes. I've got the interior Luan paneling installed on the side walls and on the ceiling. And then I've also started and basically finished insulating the walls of the camper. So I'll give you a little close-up tour here and show you the inside of the camper so far and show you where I'm at with the build. So here's a little closer look at the inside of the cabin so far. There's where the roof vent's gonna go. I've got the interior Luan plywood installed on the inside of the trailer. On the ceiling, here you can see it, and on the side walls. Now I ran the seam for the plywood, because this is a 5-foot wide trailer, I ran the seam for the plywood right down the middle. So I'm gonna end up finishing that off with a nice piece of trim. And then along the bottom here, if you remember from video number 1, and video number 2, sorry, I made the camper 5 feet tall. So I ended up staggering the joint because there's a joint in the top. I put the full sheet of Luan here, glued and tacked onto the walls, and then put the strip along the bottom so that it would reinforce that joint. I'll give you a little close up here and explain a little bit about how I installed the Luan in just a minute. So here's a little bit of a closer look on the inside of the cabin so far. Getting the 1/8 inch Luan on was a little bit of a challenge, trying to get it glued and attached to a vertical surface. I might splice some photos into the video here to kind of show you how I had everything clamped in place. But I did want to try and hide the fasteners as much as I could on the walls. So what I ended up doing was using my pneumatic stapler and just stapling along about 1/4 inch from the edge of the doors and the windows, so that when I put the clamp rings on the doors and the windows, you won't even see those staplers. They'll be hidden from your view. On the ceiling, I did use 3/4 inch brad nails to attach the ceiling panels to the roof spars. Those got glued in place as well, and I used PL Premium on either side of the roof spars just to make sure I got a good bond for the roof panel to the spars. So those holes, I'll come back later with some wood filler, get them all filled in. I mean, they're very, very small before I get things sanded and ready for a coat of varnish. And on the inside here, I did make sure that I was dry fitting everything before I got it all glued and tacked down. I wanted to make sure I had my seams as tight as I could get them and everything was fitting nice before I installed it permanently. And when I did that, I marked out the door and the window openings, and I just rough cut them with the circular saw just to get them started a little bit wider than the opening, so that I could come back with a flush trim router bit and then clean up the edges like you see has been done now. I'll take you back to the galley and give you a quick shot back there as well. Just a quick view or shot of the galley here. I got the side walls and the ceiling Luan applied here, same process as before. Used the flush trim router bit to get everything cut nice and flush here. I also did reinforce this part here. I put some struts between the spars, because I am going to be putting the hinges for the door, and this is going to be a fairly big door. I wanted to make sure that this top portion of the rear of the camper didn't twist or warp when the door was in the open position. So I did reinforce with two braces between the spars and this back panel here to try and help reinforce that piece. So here's a shot of the back so far. I'll probably start to build some upper cabinets and the lower cabinets here very soon. At least I hope so. And likely next, I'm going to be attaching the Luan to the outside of the trailer to get that insulation sandwiched within the wall so it's not going anywhere. So I am at a little bit of a funny angle here. I'm up towards the ceiling of the garage just to show you guys the top of the trailer. So you can see I've got the Luan for the wall panels just propped up there so I can show you. But these were the braces that I was talking about to reinforce this portion where the hinges are going to go. I wanted to show you guys that. And then along the spars, you can probably see it there, the PL Premium that I used, that's on both sides to help seal that up. That's around the roof hatch there as well. I just wanted to show you guys that part. Now what was also important was to put these pieces in as well here along the outside edges, so that for the ceiling panels I would have something to attach to. So you kind of have to go between the spars and add that blocking in there so that you have something to attach the ceiling panels to and glue and tack them in with brad nails. So hope that gives you guys some information on how to attach the ceiling and a little bit about the process of getting the ceiling panels installed. These voids here are going to get filled with 2 layers of 3/4 inch foam insulation, the same insulation that I'm using on the wall panels. So you'll get to see that in a later video as well. So just a little tip here. I do have the 3/4 inch insulation in these pockets on the outside walls. And just a little tip to save these cutout sections, because I basically use those as a template to cut the foam and then fit them back in the spots where the cutout came from. So that might save you all some time if you're trying to get a perfect fit on these pieces. Save the cutouts and then it makes it a little bit easier for you. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this little update video number 3 on the camper project. Stay with me for video number 4. Hopefully that'll be out here shortly. I'm hoping to get the Luan on the outside walls, start on some of the cabinetry, and then I'll likely start working on some of the electrical. Although I'm still waiting on the tongue box to get delivered so that I can really ramp up on that piece, but there's still quite a bit to do here. So hopefully you liked this video. If you did, give me a thumbs up. Maybe subscribe if you want to see and keep up with some of the update videos that will be coming out in the future. And if you have any questions, leave me a comment and I'll try to get back to you as soon as I can. Thanks everyone.